All right, John, welcome back. We're going to continue the crypto conspiracy. Got a couple things. One, I've got a little bit of housekeeping to do before I start in with my questions for you. This came from a well-known person on the internet. We're not going to give his name because he didn't say I could. Loving your crypto conspiracy stuff! Exclamation point. One thing you need to work on, though, is calling Bitcoin a security, David. It's not defined as such by the Howey test. So you may want to relook at that part. You know, I try to be open, learn, lifelong learner, all that stuff. And, when I'm correct, I'm corrected. And when you're wrong, promptly admit it. So I'm not going to go through much of this, John. And just like I said, it's a bit of housekeeping. But this is it's a screenshot. You can read it. It's Cryptocurrencies of the Security and Exchange Commission is the title. It was published August 4th, 2021. So it's pretty recent. Corporate law, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but we will again show you a screenshot. As previously discussed, in addition to state regulation and FinCEN rulings pertaining to digital assets and cryptocurrencies, there are a host of other federal agencies with regulations that affect the industry. There names a bunch of different agencies. It says in the second paragraph, the SEC is a federal agency that regulates the securities markets within the United States. The SEC enforces certain disclosure requirements and financial filings in the name of protection against market manipulation. Leave it there. You can read this and you can get the, well, I'll say, true definition according to this document of how the SEC classifies Bitcoin. Now, more importantly, you brought this to my attention. I sort of got it on, I guess, a subconscious level, but there was kind of, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I'd say there was a bit of an effort to come around to this idea that, Bitcoin is gold 2.0. Every time you see Bitcoin, you see a coin with a B on it and it's gold colored and all these associations. But what you brought to my attention was there actually was an effort made about this kind of anti-gold, I'll call it propaganda. So can you take us through that, John?
Yeah, anybody can look this up, and you go to YouTube and type in drop gold, actually dropgold.com. And dropgold.com is run by, or at least Drop Gold by Bitcoin, GBTC, Grayscale Investments. And, I saw this video and it's actually really well made. And I noticed, I said, wow, this is an interesting video. And of course, it was nonsense to me because I just don't equate gold with Bitcoin. And so coming to Drop Gold, I looked, I said, well, who's running this? This is Grayscale. It's actually a great video worth watching here. But I didn't see it anything else than anything more than just anti-gold propaganda. And I think it's important to note that if you go back, and I believe it's 2017, when Jeffrey Epstein was asked about gold and Bitcoin, he said Bitcoin is not a currency, and he was very wise to say that. I'm sure he was, he thought that through. A lot of people haven't thought that through, but Epstein made the same argument here about gold and Bitcoin. I think there's only one or two interviews where he actually came out and said, made his opinion between gold and silver. There'd be a choice. Here it is right here. The billionaire financier weighs in on the future of Bitcoin. Well, a billionaire financier who's now, his name is going to be headlines for human rights abuses. Billionaire financier. I'm gonna assist as an opinion here. People shouldn't be impressed by the word billionaire because there's a lot of billionaires out there that are completely illiquid. There's a lot of crypto billionaires out there that if they wanted to get liquid, they're not going to get liquid. It's just not going to happen because it's one thing to say you're a crypto billionaire. It's another thing to be able to go liquid and just bail out. Well, wow, he's a billionaire. Why would he bail out? Listen, I have clients that are billionaires, and they're flying, they're in their boats, flying in their planes, going fishing, going skiing, having a good time. They're not pumping Bitcoin on YouTube. At least that's been my experience. It's like, oh, everyone's out having fun. If you have $1 billion, for me personally, I would be out. Let's see, the snow. I think Mammoth got some snow. I'd be skiing, or I'd be somewhere in the altitude skiing. I wouldn't be on Bitcoin every day promoting a digital fiat coin. But that being said, this is back. Billionaire Financier weighs in on the future of Bitcoin. And this is the thesis. The thesis that Epstein made on gold is what everyone's promoting. This is what all the Bitcoin promoters are literally parroting what Epstein said about gold. And this is probably written by someone who was, I don't know, maybe the same people who made Drop Gold. Maybe they made this. I don't know. Bitcoin is not a currency. Bitcoin, there's formal legal definition for currency. It's money that has a sovereign guarantee behind it, governmental promise that the value is secure. But Bitcoin is backed by technology, not by a state. Okay, it doesn't fit the bill as a currency. That's straight from Epstein himself. Bitcoin, it works as a store of value. Once again, everything I'm going to say here, this is all Epstein. You hear anyone out there promoting Bitcoin, they're literally, you can just reading the same script. When we talk about gold as a store of value, says Epstein, that just means a lot of people agree to pay the same price for 1 ounce of gold. In 2017, enough people agree on the value of Bitcoin that it can serve the same purpose. There will only ever be 21 million Bitcoins, but this limit comes from computer code, not by how many Bitcoins are left to remove from the earth. If we learn tomorrow that half of Montana contained a secret cache of gold, which it doesn't and it won't, the value of gold would decrease instantly. Bitcoin does not have that problem. Well, all of Bitcoin is based on gold. It's based on being the alternative, the altcoin. Gold is the original alternative to fiat. You look at a gold Bitcoin, and it's what it looks like. It's gold. They have to represent it as gold. It's to replace gold. You look at drop gold. It's to drop gold. It's an ancient relic. It's worthless, and it holds value like gold. Well, the value of Bitcoin right now at this stage, this is part of the re-centralization. We have, the Bitcoiners will say, oh, you can't trust Powell. He's printing money, he's diluting, he's destroying the dollar, but Bitcoin's going up. It's like, my friend, where is that money coming from that is pushing up Bitcoin? Where is it coming from? It's coming from the Fed. It's dollars flowing into Bitcoin. Fed, the investor, gambler, speculator going into Bitcoin. It's dollars. It's based in dollars. If Powell wasn't printing, Bitcoin wouldn't be where it's at right now. That being said, is it gold? I don't think so. I think the statement that Klaus Schwab made about Cyber Polygon should be something people should take note of. What does this mean, Cyber Polygon? People haven't, John, what's Cyber Polygon? So you don't know what that is? Are you kidding me? You're in the crypto space. You don't know what a cyber pandemic is, a Klaus Schwab? I said, this is part of the Great Reset. I said, the Great Reset covers just about everything. Actually, it does cover everything. And the most important thing it's going to cover is to make sure they cover everything to the point where they have control of everything. Because the summary is, you will own nothing and you will be happy. Well, I wonder if that's going to happen in a cyber pandemic, if that's going to happen in the crypto space, and if there's going to be any type of teeth from an executive order that meets that event. Anyhow,
well, John, I'm going to jump in on you here. Cyber pandemic. So this would be where the internet gets taken down, either deliberately, false flag, again, an EMP, power failure, inability to generate enough power, coal supply. I mean, there's so many vectors that could take out part of the grid or part of the electrical system. But I want to go a step further, because this is a segue into safety and what can happen if you lose, in this case, electrical power. But let's talk about access here. I just got this. We kind of done a little bit of housekeeping here. I'm going to continue on kind of on that vein here. So this came from a LinkedIn person. I loved your recent podcast with Perez. That I will listen to it again. Wow. Had a question though. I'll run by you. Also says something nice about you. I was in Bitcoin, invested in 2013, and lost a ton from my Mount Gox connection.
Oh.
Now, John, I know you probably wouldn't mind me interrupting you there because I think there's a synergy here between a cyber pandemic and what happened at Mount Gox. Can you pick it up from there, please?
Yeah, Mount Gox, if you look at Mount Gox and you apply the executive order to Mount Gox, it's, there it is. Caveat emptor. Mount Gox literally is the model for, so this has already occurred. This is not like anything like this comes to pass. The difference was that Jeffrey Epstein wasn't involved with Mount Gox, but there were crimes being committed there. And one day it just shut off. Well, there's a lot of talk in here about ex-officials and being involved with this. And this Bitcoin really got started, 2009, I think, when the white paper came out, a year into Obama's first term. And coming from that term there, you had all the people that were, we had the highest level officials at Epstein's place in New York and at Epstein Island. All these things here, when I put it together, and I'm going to put on my silver tinfoil hat here for a moment. When I look at Bitcoin, the structural way it's put together, and you look at the pedigree of the people running in Bitcoin, Bitcoin to me reminds me of a scene from the movie Wall Street, the original Wall Street, 1987, after the 87 crash. And when Gordon Gekko said to Charlie Sheen, he was asking, why did you do this? Why did you ruin this company? Why did you wreck this company? And he said, because it's wreckable. And in my opinion, looking at the pedigree, looking at the players involved in how Bitcoin is set up, in my opinion, Bitcoin is being set up for a wrecking ball. Now that sounds pretty out there, but I've got my silver tinfoil hat on, so I can, I'm out here in the outer limits of conspiracy, making these suggestions. Now, you look at that and you say to yourself, well, if there's a great reset, if there's a cyber pandemic here, how is crypto going to survive? The crypto has never been through this. How did Mt. Gox survive? Well, they really, oh, John, they're servers. They can't do what they want. They can do whatever they want. At this stage of the game, I can tell you right now, and this is pure speculation on my point, but looking at that executive order, I will say that all the major intelligence agencies, NSA and all, they've already accessed all this stuff. In fact, I'm of the belief that there's no such thing as anybody with, oh, I have keys in my back pocket. It's like, you probably have keys and probably someone else has the master key to that, because Bitcoin is anonymous. Nobody has come out and said, oh, by the way, we didn't tell you we have a backdoor key to everyone's works. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean? It's like, well, it's anonymous. And, I'm always concerned to say, if we do KYC on Bitcoin, we have a big problem. Why? Because they're doing KYC on all the traders. Everyone's doing it, but the people that created Bitcoin, no KYC. It's anonymous. That means that right there, from the very beginning, I thought, wait a second here. It's like the Mark Twain quote about mining, gold mine. A gold mine is a hole in the ground with a liar standing at the top. And that came because Mark Twain had suffered from so many, mining scams. And he was legitimately giving his opinion. Well, Bitcoin is like a black hole in the cyberspace with nobody standing at the top. I don't know what's worse. At least you can throw rocks, at the person standing at the top of a gold mine, but an anonymous person at the top of the Bitcoin pyramid chain, it's anonymous. But maybe it's not anonymous. Maybe some of us have already figured that out. But will crypto survive a cyber pandemic, cyber polygon? My opinion, no way. And if a cyber event happens and the stock market is just completely bleeding, which I expect it to crash, and I expect silver and gold to go the other direction, upward. If there is a threat to the monetary system, I mean, what's to stop the U.S. Treasury Secretary from saying, hey, by the way, we've had so much digital fiat currency flow into Bitcoin that has destabilized our economy here. This is a national security event. Oh, wait a second. We still are in a national emergency. Oh, thanks. That gives us extra powers. This is real stuff. This is happening right now. I've brought this up to a few people who just said to me, oh, John, well, as long as I'm making money, I'm good with that. It's like, that's great. But have you ever had a cyber pandemic happen while you're holding crypto? Have you ever figured out who started this? And I'm really surprised that probably 99% of the people I've spoke to have very large positions in Bitcoin. And we speak daily. In fact, I actually do some technical analysis work and research for some big Bitcoin traders, which might surprise people. I tell them when to sell. I will post my sell. I posted on Reddit. Two sells, $66,666 you sell, and sell $69,000. Both of them I put sells on, and they both were right on the money. And I like a good screenshot of a public posting to show that. Those were both right on the money. And the clients I had, they sold, they're out, and legitimately sold as a good trader would sell. They took profits, and they're probably buying gold and silver. But the cyber Polygon cyber event, I would say, would be the equivalent of 1933 when they confiscated gold and silver. For Bitcoin to be legitimate, if they want to say, anybody wants to say Bitcoin is like gold, equal to gold, then you're not going to be there. You're not going to be equivalent to gold until you go through a confiscation period, because that's one thing gold has done that Bitcoin hasn't. Two things. Number one, it has been suppressed by the very people who are supposed to be looking out for us, the bankers, which they don't, and it's been literally taken off the market for trading. And one of my mentors was one of the original guys who worked in the Nixon administration, who helped outlaw gold and move it to Toronto, which is another story. There's where I got a lot of foundational basis to what we're leading into now here. So I personally don't think that Bitcoin's going to survive and crypto is going to survive a major cyber pandemic. They may just use that event to say, hey, wait a second, everything's off right now. We did some research, and according to the executive order, we don't have to tell anyone. They're not going to tell anyone. What does that mean? That means, I can tell you this right now, everyone is going to be blindsided in the crypto space. And then they're going to say, oh, remember that video with David Morgan, that guy, John Perez. It's going to happen. We're talking about geostrategic, geoeconomic, geopolitical, economic, international, and of course, the number one thing that crosses all lines, economic lines, party lines, societal lines, cultural lines, religious lines, is that nobody is going to defend human rights abuse, and no one's going to defend child trafficking or child abuse. That's just not going to happen. That's the one thing, that's the red line, that once that's crossed and that's public, it's going to be a global event, global organized event that comes down on the crypto space. And imagine going to your exchange, you sign in, and you can't exchange. You can't exchange. In order for me to sell my Litecoin, I got to sell my Litecoin, convert it to Bitcoin, then go from Bitcoin and convert it on Coinbase to cash and transfer my account. That's a lot of bridges to cross. That's some counterparty risk. I mean, that's like I'm going 4x4ing across, during a rainstorm, and there's a couple bridges where the water's up. Well, counterparty risk. Hopefully the guy that built the bridge built a good one. I hope it can survive record rains. That's what we're at here. Counterparty risk here, and cyber pandemics, executive orders, these things are all adding up. And, going back to what Epstein said, I forget that I'm very wealthy, says Epstein. My house cries it out, but I don't. There's some importance to money, but I believe more strongly in ideas. Having this much money is like having extra oxygen. I'm happy to give it to things I believe in. And this is a role as a science philanthropist. Anyhow, this goes on more and more. And the point I'm trying to make here with Epstein is the fact that this connects to the executive order. this connects to back to drop gold. Now I'm going to go, because I went off on a tangent there, back to drop gold and anti-gold propaganda. Hashtag drop gold. Who created that? Hashtag, and it was put together by the guys at Grayscale. And I believe that's the largest Bitcoin trust in the world. And they put together drop gold. You know, I thought, wow, that's interesting. Go to drop gold, go digital, drop gold. Well, who's the overseer, the overlord here is a guy named Reid Hoffman. I used to be on LinkedIn. I had 27,000 followers. I think I was getting 500,000 to 1 million views a month. And one day they just shut me off of LinkedIn. No explanation, nothing. I thought, wow, that's kind of funny. And I looking back in hindsight, it's because I was reporting this stuff on LinkedIn as news. I didn't see it anything other than just news to look at, because it was the trade that was growing. Gold was being suppressed. There is a conspiracy there that we all know is true. Gold, silver being suppressed. So let's watch Bitcoin. I actually had some Litecoin at one point, did really well there. And one day, my LinkedIn they just said, you're off, you're gone. 27,000 people, poof, you're gone. I got centralized right off LinkedIn. Why? Why did that happen? I asked, they would not give me an explanation. It's because I was posting this stuff here. And I didn't know at that time that the CEO of LinkedIn was none other than Reid Hoffman, the same guy who spent, you go to New York, we'll put the links in here and the pressures here, the same guy who was written up in the New York Post as defending and financing and rehabbing the image of Jeffrey Epstein. It's like, well, what are the odds of that? That this guy here runs Grayscale, created drop gold, anti-gold, propaganda, pro-Bitcoin, is also an Epstein guy and runs LinkedIn. I get tossed off. I'm out wondering, wow, there goes 27,000 of my clients. But the majority of my business was coming through LinkedIn, and I'm gone. And all of a sudden, I start digging more and more and more. And all of a sudden, this became very much front and center for me, that I thought, wait a second, why am I? Then I look at this map here. When I got that network map, I'm like, holy smokes, the CEO of LinkedIn is like one of Epstein's best friends. So no wonder I'm not on LinkedIn. That shouldn't surprise anybody now. After looking at it, well, now I know why they threw me off. That made sense. I was just reporting. These are not, I wasn't reporting from some underground bunker newsletter written by some lunatic. This was from the New York Post. This was from the New York Times. These are all, I use major publications to always go down. And this is when I started putting things together. And once I was off LinkedIn, I thought, well, I got a lot of extra time here. Let's dig more into this. And so Drop Gold was put together by the Grayscale guys, who have the largest position in Bitcoin. So they have something to stand for. Well, guess what? A lot of people in the precious metals and gold industry fell for the propaganda and bought Bitcoin. Okay, you're up, but I don't know if you're getting out. You may be up, but you may be on the radar in a place where you may not want to be.
Yeah. I'm going to pause us there, John. I think we've covered most of it, if not all of it. Is there any final words about the propaganda? I mean, we could go on and on. We, I've had these debates with Justra and Saylor and, why this is that and why gold. And, there's been some good debates. I've listened to a few. Daniela Cambone did, I think, that interview, hosted it. And there's merits in both. I mean, I don't want to be bashing Bitcoin totally, but I'm sticking to my guns. I'm giving a heads up with your help, leaning on you a great deal. And you're not shying away at all. And I appreciate that. A man of conviction, a man of principle. I really respect that. But, that it needs to be addressed, that there's two sides of the story. And it seems as if we, for a long time, have only been hearing really one side. And you've been doing, I'll call it counterintelligence work, to look at the other side. So that's what that's my main point. If you want to say, well, David, you kind of soft pedaled it, you can scream out at me, or say, no, I think you calmed me down a slight bit. But, you only have a profit when you book it. And if you go into your exchange and you can't book it because there's no power, you didn't properly fill out your KYC, whatever. I mean, there are so many things, as you said, on counterparty risk that can pop up all of a sudden that you never thought about until it's right in front of your face. Whereas when you got that gold or silver coin paid for, you don't really have much counterparty troubles.
Yeah, you got to keep stacking that silver. Stack, stack, stack. Hold on to it. I have had my power go out. Last year, I went out for 38 hours. It was like one of these things where, like, 38 hours. Now, it was a matter of time before my cell phone went out. And fortunately, I was, backup redundancy, power here. But just going through that little experience though was something. Well, how about Squid Coin? Squid Coin, literally, people have to see it. Go on YouTube. Go look at the Squid Coin when it got shut off. I mean, just vaporized. But no, you didn't soft pedal it. I think that the main thing here is that we bring this forward. People talk about it. They make their own conclusions. They ask their own questions, and they do their own research. Go out there and do it, and look at it, and look at it, so that people can look at it objectively and say, oh, you know what? This is an interesting point here. This guy makes a good point here, and you can go out and confirm it. That's the main thing. This is not about financial advice, not opinion. This is like, these are the things that are out there, and this is what we came together. And you've been great at picking up on this quickly, but you were also the first guy really putting out the warning signals back there in your early newsletter.
Yeah, 2014. I said, look, take a hard look.
7 years.
Yeah. All right. I think we're going to wrap this one up, John. Thank you again. I can hardly wait till we do the next one, because I know we're going to drill down on that. And this is a really important part of the whole Bitcoin story, very seldom told. And that's, how do you tether up? So I'll have you back soon, and we will address the little connection that makes the whole thing happen. And without a tether, you don't have much of a Bitcoin. So we'll be back. Viewers, stay tuned.
Tether Grande.
Story isn't over. Thank you, John.
All right, thank you.